When I first signed up for the cultural exchange program between Earth and Xyrathi Prime, I didn't imagine my life would end up here. Standing before an alien family in a vast crystalline hall, their bioluminescent eyes fixed on me like I was some rare specimen. I was just a linguist. My specialty was comparative xenolinguistics, which was fancy talk for, I try to figure out how aliens communicate. The Xyrathi were the newest species humanity had established formal ties with, and while their trade opportunities interested the politicians, their language fascinated me. It shimmered in tones, gestures, and pulses of light from the biocrystals embedded in their skin. That's how I met Lirana. She wasn't just another student of Earth speech. She was the daughter of a Xyrathi counselor, someone far above my social station. Yet she insisted on sitting in my classes, struggling to pronounce human words with her melodic accent. We spent long evenings laughing over mispronunciations, sharing Earth literature and Xyrathi poetry, and bridging two worlds with words. Somewhere along the way, friendship turned into something more, though neither of us dared admit it. At least, not until her family got involved. One evening, Lirana invited me to her family's estate. I assumed it was just another cultural dinner. Instead, after a lavish meal where glowing fruits pulsed like stars and meat shifted color depending on how you bit into them, her mother leaned forward with a smile that made me uneasy. "My family wants us to get married, human," Lirana said suddenly, her voice soft, her luminous gaze locking onto mine. I nearly choked on my drink. Married? What? The family nodded in unison, as if this had been decided long before I arrived. To them it wasn't strange. Marriages were often arranged to solidify alliances, and with humanity so new to their world, I was apparently the ideal candidate. Thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Middle. At first I resisted. Marriage wasn't something I took lightly, and besides, the cultural gap was enormous. What if I offended their traditions? What if I couldn't live up to their expectations? But Lirana, sweet, stubborn Lirana, pulled me aside after that dinner. "I know this is sudden," she whispered, her crystal-lined hand brushing mine. "But you should know. I wanted this. I asked them." Her confession hit me harder than anything else. She wanted this. She wanted me. Over the following weeks, I learned more about Xyrathi marriage customs. It wasn't just about uniting two individuals. It was about blending two entire families, cultures, and futures. The ceremonies involved rituals of light, where couples exchanged biocrystal strands that bonded to the skin, glowing brighter when the pair was near each other. There were vows sung in harmonic resonance, requiring perfect synchronization of voice and breath. And finally, there was the joining journey, where the couple traveled to the heart of Xyrathi Prime, a living forest of bioluminescent organisms, to seek its blessing. It was overwhelming but strangely beautiful. Meanwhile, rumors spread among humans and Xyrathi alike. Some celebrated the union as a symbol of peace. Others mocked it. Some humans claimed I was betraying my species, while certain Xyrathi whispered that their counselor's daughter was sullying her bloodline. Through it all, Lirana stayed by my side. She was fierce when defending me, gentle when I doubted myself, and endlessly curious about Earth customs. She even asked me to teach her an Earth wedding tradition. I chose the simple exchange of rings. Her people thought the idea of wearing a dead mineral on your finger was strange, but when I slid a silver band onto Lirana's hand, the way she smiled made every skeptical whisper fade into nothing. Of course, not everything went smoothly. One night, before the ritual of light, I was confronted by Lirana's older brother, Xyrathi, towering with crystals glowing like molten fire. He cornered me outside the ceremonial hall. "You are weak," he said bluntly, his voice like a blade. "Our people are warriors of light. What strength do you offer my sister? What future do you give her? I swallowed hard. I couldn't match his physical strength, his radiant presence. But I met his gaze and said, I give her choice. I give her respect. And I'll never stop learning how to be worthy of her. For a long, tense moment he stared at me. Then, surprisingly, his crystals dimmed. Perhaps, he said softly, that is strength. The wedding preparations intensified. Lirana and I practiced the harmonic vows, our voices stumbling and clashing until, one night, something clicked. Our tones aligned, our breaths matched, and the chamber around us hummed with resonance. Lirana's eyes filled with tears of light. You see, she whispered, we fit. Finally, the joining journey began. We traveled into the living forest, where every tree glowed with veins of crystal, and the air thrummed with energy older than civilizations. There we had to stand hand in hand before the heart tree and allow it to judge us. I'll never forget that moment. The forest light surged around us, scanning, probing. For a terrifying second, I thought it might reject me, casting me as an intruder unworthy of its blessing. But then, the crystals in my skin, implanted when I began living among them, flared in unison with Lirana's. The forest accepted us. Together. Ending. The wedding day arrived. The crystalline hall was filled with both humans and Xyrathi, diplomats and families, curious onlookers and skeptics alike. I stood dressed in a hybrid outfit, half Earth tuxedo, half Xyrathi ceremonial robe that shimmered in hues I couldn't describe. Lirana entered in a gown woven of living fibers that pulsed with her heartbeat, each beat echoing in the hall like music. The rituals began. We exchanged crystal strands, the bioluminescent threads embedding into our skin and glowing brighter than the others in the room. We sang the harmonic vows, our voices resonating perfectly, filling the air with a sound that made even hardened warriors weep. And then, in the moment we had added ourselves, we exchanged rings. Simple silver for her, a crystal band for me. When the officiant declared us bonded, cheers erupted. Some human voices, some Xyrathi tones, but all together in one sound. Later at the celebration, Lirana leaned close, her forehead against mine. Do you realize what we've done? She whispered. Yes, I said with a smile. We've just rewritten the definition of impossible. The days that followed weren't easy. There were still critics, still challenges, still moments where the cultural divide seemed vast. But we faced it all together. Because in the end, this wasn't just about a human marrying an alien woman. It was about two souls from two worlds, daring to believe in something bigger than themselves. And as I lay beside Lirana that first night, her crystals glowing softly in the dark, she whispered the words that had started it all. My family wanted us to get married human, she said, her voice warm and amused. But I wanted you. And in that moment, I knew I hadn't just married an alien. I had married my future,